Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Social Saturday Chat. Today is Saturday, May 9th, 2026, and we are here for another episode. If you are watching us live, go ahead and let us know where you're watching us live from. Let us know what town you're watching from, and go ahead and repost the room so that the rest of your network can know that we're going on live right now. But today, we're going to be talking about networking with purpose. Specifically aligning values, work, and impact. And so this is going to be something I think is going to take our normal networking conversations to that next level, because we always talk about the low-hanging fruit when it comes to networking and showing up and the little things you can do. Well, now you all been listening to us for a while. It's time to level up your game. And what are you doing specifically with that networking, and how are you making it valuable? So with that, let's do some introductions. It's great to see Martha and Joel here. We might have Mac join us in a little bit. But Martha, how has your week been? What's been going on with you? And please introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, my week has been great. I have been doing a lot of services in the state of Florida. It's been going really good. And I've also been doing some networking with different folks from different backgrounds, which has been interesting. And some collaborations have come out of that, which I'm really grateful for. So more to come. But yeah, there's a lot of good things that are happening. But of course, that being busy is great, but you also need that calmness, So this weekend is going to be calm. It's going to be a calm week. That's the plan.
Oh, good. Joel, how about you? What's going on with you?
Well, it's sunny over here again. I mean, we've got the island of Lucky Dip, it seems. On every week seems to be a different one, and weather-wise. But to this weekend is pretty quiet. Bailey is now completely knocked out next to me, so I think he might give me a chance to actually still be here the entire time this time, which is very nice. Yes, and still getting those. It's looking hunting for episode 2 of Fighting for the Right to Party, and more on that later. But my fun fact this week is I'm looking forward to spending all my Saturday with you guys and seeing where the conversation may go. Sorry, Mac, I took your words right out of your mouth.
And well, let's go to Mac. But before we go to Mac, I feel like I'm either Two-Face from Batman or the Borg with the screen right in the middle of my face. Can we move the comments to the side maybe, or? But Mac, what's going on with you, my friend? You look hot. Can you hear us?
Mac, you are on mute.
Who's muted?
Mac.
No, I don't think he can hear us. Can you hear us?
Mac's on mute. No.
He can't hear us. All right. Well, here.
Go out and come back in again.
I'm moving my camera this way so that I can see my face while the comments are here. There we go. Well, now. So listen. While Mac gets his audio set up, for those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I've been an HR executive for 25 plus years. Been on LinkedIn officially 15 years as of this past week. And I'm a LinkedIn Top Voice today, where I do shows with Melissa Houston around careers, chaos, and coaching every other Sunday. I do a show about workplace wellness with Sumana Jetty every other Monday. Coming up this Monday, we have a special guest talking about neurodivergency and leadership. And then I do this wonderful show with this amazing crew here every Saturday to network, meet fascinating people, hear about fun facts, and really learn about people that I've ended up collaborating with for, in some cases, multiple years, and some new. So, and also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I'm also an international best-selling author of a children's book called Miranda and Max. It's actually called Backyard Adventures with Miranda and Max. And I just completed the second book that's getting ready to be published as soon as I finish up the last few small details on the video. I showed it to my son, and he's approving of it, but the song, we'll see. The song that goes with the video cartoon is okay, but I just need to sync it up a little bit better. But that's going to be my fun fact, that's going to be coming out very, very soon, along with the coloring book. So, and then we're still waiting for Mac to join us, then come back. But while we're doing that, let's dive into the topic. And, we're going to encourage y'all to jump up here and join us in about 5-10 minutes to really talk about your networking and what questions do you have. Talk about something that maybe you experience and you want to know how to handle it better. Those are questions that are valuable to everyone, not just for you. It really does help others. So don't be shy about coming up on stage. We'll have the link in there shortly. So was this Mac's topic, by the way, Joel? I just want to make sure. All right. Well, then, so I'm just going to start. I had some notes here about it. And, I have my, here we are. Mac's back. Yay. All right. So, Joel, can we remove the comments or move them to the side? Is that possible?
I'll do one better. There we go. Sorry, Martha.
No, don't put them on Martha. I didn't want that.
It's okay.
Oh, there you go.
No, it's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
Mac, before we dive into the topic, please introduce yourself.
What, you don't know me?
I think I know you, but I don't know about everybody else. They might think you're Sean Connery. I don't know.
Well, hey, I'll take that all day long. Anyway, hi everybody, Mac Lauscher. I am a LinkedIn networking strategist, so I help you stand out of the crowd. Feel free to check out my LinkedIn if you want more info. I won't babble on. I am thrown off a little bit with my face appearing just looking over Felipe's shoulder, so not quite. But I'm looking forward to this conversation today and joining these wonderful co-hosts. Apologies, technical difficulties. I'm stuck here with multiple computers, and they all said no today. Anyway, we are here. Joel has gone for a whole new look, I see, with the whole. He's just trying to show off, because I've got one.
Because he has hair.
Yeah, well, I've got one like I can. Yeah.
You have the Charlie Brown, is what you have.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
There
but
you
it's
go.
not curled up at the moment. So anyway, happy social Saturday to everybody out there.
You shouldn't plant seeds like that in my head, because I'm just thinking Mac, AI, Charlie Brown, cartoon Mac is coming soon.
I shouldn't give this one away, but apparently I was. No, I'm gonna leave it because there is a cartoon character compared to in the past. But anyway.
Oh, I have an idea of somebody, but I'm not sure if it's who you. All right, well, let's dive into the topic. I'm going to share Fleabase 5, but it's your topic, Mac. I just want to give 5 points just for people to think about, because what I said in the beginning was that we talk about networking all the time, but we want to level up and really, what are you doing with that networking? And if you have challenges, to share their challenges, but we're going to share some insight of how can you make that network more valuable and have it become something that ends up being a client, a job, a relationship, a collaboration, whatever. So the 5 things I just wanted to mention real quickly, when you think about networking and leveling up your networking, obviously being intentional seems obvious, but what I mean by that is less transactional. Don't just check off the box that you met 15 people today. It's about who did you meet? What did you learn about them? What possible connection do you have with what you do? Really being intentful. That's number one. Number two is my favorite thing to do is lead with curiosity. Don't go up to somebody and tell them all about you. That turns them off right away. Go up to them and ask them about them. Here's a little secret in case people don't know. Most people love talking about themselves. So you ask them about them, they will just blah, 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 blah. And so that's important. 3, be real. Be real. Don't be somebody else because you're going to come across as fake. But be real and be memorable. And what I mean by that is when you're being curious and you find that common thread, that's not a typical thread. Might be that you both love dogs and you were showing each other dog pictures, or maybe you both used to go to the same school. Whatever it is, build on that a little bit. It's like, I by the way, your dog was awesome. That is such a great dog. And what kind of breed is it? And what kind of, how old is he? And where'd you find him? And just make sure that they remember you as somebody who loved dogs, because that connection is going to carry it forward. The 4th one is engage consistently. When you're networking, don't just find that one person that you feel comfortable with and stay with them the entire time. Or if you, even worse, you come with somebody to go networking and you stay with the person you came with. That defeats the whole purpose. So go around and just engage. Put yourself in situations where you are uncomfortable. If you came out of networking and you didn't feel uncomfortable at all, you did not network successfully. And then the 5th one is follow up with purpose. And what I mean by that is, don't be that person that says, oh, great, I'll give you a call, and never does. Or, hey, let's have lunch, but you never hear from them. Or, hey, let's get together and do this next networking thing together, and you never hear from them. You're lying. You're being fake. Why are they ever going to want to associate with you if you didn't follow up with what you said with a simple phone call, email, or something? So follow up with them. It could be a DM on LinkedIn. It could be an email. It could be a phone call. Whatever it is, let them know. It could be a comment on their post. So engage, because every opportunity, when you're at the grocery store, you're at the bank, you're at a convention, you're at work, or you're at home with your family, every one of those is a networking opportunity. Just think about that. With that, I'm going to hand it over to the amazing, all right, I think I'm going to do this right. The amazing Mac, this way. Am I pointing right? All right. Amazing Mac, over to you, my friend, to take off the rest of this session.
Well, Felipe, the Felipe's 5s are always so on point. And, they keep things very kind of organized, systemized, but easy bullet points to follow. So, I think what I need to do is go back to a lot of our previous sessions and just record a whole series of Felipe's 5s, because it would make a massive kind of training library for people. But just kind of reiterating some of the things that you said there, Felipe, when it comes to that intentionality, the listening. People's favorite subject is themselves. And for those of you that are listening and watching, I'd love you to drop in the comments the worst or the most common lines that you get when you go out networking and people start talking to you. Things like, hey, well, great weather we're having. Or, all those kind of generic things, or the typical question, so what do you do? And then they go straight into, hey, this is what I do, because they're looking for an opportunity to pitch almost immediately. And what ends up happening is you're not present in the conversation because you're thinking about the outcome you're trying to get there and then, as opposed to being open to listening where the conversation may lead. And this is one of the things that has been incredible in my networking journey, is finding out what some people do. I mean, I was telling somebody a couple of days ago, and I don't know if my co-hosts remember this, but we had this lady who joined our conversation on Social Saturday, And she seemed very kind of, chill, laid back. When you looked at her LinkedIn profile, it was very risk adverse. And then she came up on stage, and when she shared her fun fact, she was like, "Oh yeah, no, I go base jumping every other weekend." And I was like, I was dumbfounded, because it just wasn't it wasn't something that would, it just was a disconnect from what we were seeing. And by asking the right questions about, people and being really interested, you will be shocked and surprised where those conversations lead. And sometimes they lead to much bigger opportunities than what you initially thought. So I'd love people to come up on stage, come and join the conversation, come and let us know about, when situations turned out different to what you were expecting, because of the fact that you were just open to actually really connecting with people. Gregory, why are you seeing double? Oh, because of the screen at the back. Welcome to all of our wonderful community. I mean, we've got such great people in the audience, guys, and they join us every single week. And, Stephen Eng and Linda Mayer, it's been a while, Leslie Flowers. For those of you, if you're not following Leslie Flowers to get an update on a Monday with regards to all the wonderful LinkedIn lives that are out there, you're missing out, because you can search all day long and you won't come across these gems. So go and make sure that you follow her. Lisa Fevek, my friend, good to see you as well. Solomon is joining us as well. Kirsty, Melissa Houston. My goodness me, we've got rockstar audience today. And William Rochelle, good to see you, my friend. And Gregory is obviously in the background there. Anybody else comment where you're joining us from? But I'm just looking at some of these comments. This one from Melissa Houston. Yeah, what brings you here? It's like, really, some people really don't think about the things that they could say. So I'd love you to drop into the comments, what type of questions have you asked when meeting new people? And I'm talking about whether it be face-to-face, on a Zoom call, or just when you're introducing yourself to people here on LinkedIn. Because that's one of the things that typically we see people go, hey, I'm here to expand my network. I'm growing my network. Or, what does that actually mean? Because the reality is that is normally followed by the way, we help people like you, and then they pitch you, as opposed to actually taking time to actually invest, go and look at your profile, go and look at your posts, what do you actually do? I get pitched every day by people who do something similar to me. And more often than not, they're starting out and they haven't even looked at my profile to see that I've been doing this for over a decade. Just those are the kind of things that I want you to think about. Now, I want to go back to my co-hosts and ask them, what is the one question that when you get asked that you think, really, like, there are some obvious ones that people ask that are just clearly they're entry level, they're like a 1 out of 10 when it comes to networking. And we want to help people like that today. Just reposition, ask better questions, do more intentional networking. So I'm going to start with Martha.
Yeah, oh my gosh, this week has been really good because I've been doing a lot of networking, but my networking, I'm working on not being so, sometimes my energy can be very strong and it's not on purpose, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to be a little bit more soft, but I had a really good conversation with the director earlier this week. And the conversation was, she wanted to get to know me. And so we talked. And then through that conversation, I learned that her daughter was actually unhoused and was in a very severe, traumatic space and had an experience that was just very not good at all. And so we connected through that conversation, and then we started talking about what we're doing in the world within our spaces. And so I always like to talk about, I like to connect with people. I honestly don't like reviewing the profile, which I need to probably work on that. But I really just want to get to know them while we're connecting face to face. Now, I also want to share something that happened this week. I got contacted by a recruiter who wants to, in the comments, I made a post and a recruiter contacted me, but also I've been getting a lot of recruiters connecting with me because of one post. And that post, so now I'm getting connected with all these recruiters. I'm trying to get an event going to see if we can promote jobs. How can we get people hired? But that person then offered me a collaboration space. So I'm just saying, like, you may not even be connected with them, but they'll see a post that was reshared, and then that creates a collaboration. I think I froze. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Or
Yeah, we can hear you all good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So going to your question, one of the questions, Mac, that I would say is tell me a little bit something about yourself. I don't like that. How about we just talk? How about we get to know each other? Why do I need to tell you how about we just get to know each other? Like, how are you doing today? What are your, like, let's just have a conversation. I don't like questions that are directed to me. Sometimes I just like to have a conversation and that it happens organically.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because a lot of the time, if you put people on the spot, as it were, then and being too direct, that instead of them being present in the conversation, their mind is then elsewhere trying to catch up and trying to think, like, what answer are you looking for here, or what should I say to kind of impress you, and then we're overthinking it as opposed to just being in the moment. And one of the questions I like asking people is, what is the outcome that you're looking for from attending this event? Like, and more often than not, they'll just go, I'm looking to build my network. And I said, but yes, then what? And what is the long-term thing? Like what? And when they start talking about it, and then you start opening a can of worms, because then all of a sudden you find out, well, actually, this is what's happening in their life. This is the problem that they saw coming, and now they're trying to solve that, but they need to meet more people, and then it rolls. So it's asking, and I don't know, a lot of people may not know this phrase, but it is pretty common, is asking what we call open questions, because open questions versus closed questions. Closed questions are where people can answer yes or no. So open questions where people can, really open up and start asking, start answering things at a deeper level. I'd love to know what are your favorite questions that you like to ask. I was asked at a networking meeting quite randomly by somebody at what would normally be a very boring network. And everybody was asking the same questions. And this guy walked over to me and he was like, hey, so what's your favorite rock song? And I was like, wow, okay, that hit me out of, like, I was not quite expecting that at a network meeting. But this is where it led. All of a sudden I found out that he's a businessman, and yes, he's there to try and build networks. But one of the favorite things that he likes doing is playing with his own band that he has and has had for the last 10 years, loves rock music. And then I found out, and in fact, Joel and I spoke about this was about 2 years ago, because that individual then I found out I met him somewhere in the city of London, but he actually lived 5 minutes from me down where, out in the greater London area. And he was involved in a project with neurodiversity, which I would never have known had I just gone, hey, so what's your name? What you doing here? Yeah, what brings you here today? Like, all of us, we're here to network. What kind of question? Like, it's a networking event. I mean, like, come on. Anyway, so
Matt,
Felipe,
I think I know which one you're talking about, but can you refresh my memory?
I will revert after because you need to reconnect with him.
All right. So for me, I networking was something that I was taught from day one. In hospitality, it was go out and network with the guests, go out and network when you go out to events, when we host events. And it was very typical, boring, same old questions. Being around food, you all know that as much as I talk about food and maybe do videos about cooking about food, I'm not a foodie. I really am not at all. Like, I don't get excited about food. But it's one of those topics that everyone has in common. And so whenever I go to an event, and I won't lie, two of the questions I always ask during my conversation at some point throughout the conversation is, so what's a fun fact about yourself? I always throw that in there because that's a great question. I don't start with that question. And I also do ask, so who is Mac? Like, just tell me about who's Mac. Not what you do or why you're here, but who's Mac. But the first question I usually go in with, because there's always some kind of food or lack of food. And so I go up there and I say, hey, how's it going? My name's Felipe. I'm like, I can't believe what an amazing spread, or I thought there was going to be food here. I did not eat lunch. And that's a very casual. It's like, oh, yeah, no, they're going to bring out food, or no. And I was like, it's so funny how food is such an important part of things. And they're usually like, yeah. I was like, and this is a question, the specific question, I have to give credit to Melissa Houston, to how she delivered it, because she asked it of me years ago, and it is a great question to open up people, because I said, so what's like the best meal you've ever had, your favorite meal that you go to for a restaurant? And when you ask that question, kind of like your favorite rock star, it unravels things. When Melissa asked me that question, what came out of that question was, oh, there's this great Spanish restaurant in DC that, right there, you already know that I'm Spanish, and I'm from DC, that is authentic to Spain. Okay, I visited Spain. And they just, when you're in there, you feel completely lost. And it's a great meal. It brings back the memories of my dad. And, oh no, he passed away 25 years ago. But, my daughter, was met up. All of a sudden, I'm sharing all this stuff because they asked me about my favorite food. And the food usually ties back to memories, to experiences, to people. And there you have that common connection. And from that point on, after that conversation, I have a buddy now at that networking that I can go back to and say, oh my God, I just met this person. Like, oh, I met this person. You got to meet them because you said you like this. Go check them out. Like, all right. And when you have that buddy that you meet that helps you network, when you cross network, it's amazing. So any question that you can find that is that common, feel comfortable talking about, it doesn't have to be food. Just don't make it weather. Weather's been a no. Unless there's like a foot of snow outside, then okay, great. But I think it's important to find that commonality. It could, look, if you're at an event that is sports related, say, oh my God, I'm embarrassed to say that my favorite team is the Washington Commanders because they suck right now. Whatever it is, but you can bring that into it. So that's what I would share.
Well, it's interesting. Firstly, I just want to warn anybody ever asking anybody about the weather if you're speaking at a British networking event, you're cursed after that, because firstly, you've just written off the rest of your networking session. And it's just going to get depressing after that because there'll be a leaf on the train lines and somebody will moan about it. So it's just a downward spiral from there. But that question that you asked Felipe about, so who is Felipe as an example? That's a powerful question because of the fact that it allows that person and it's almost like a pattern interruption, because they're so used to all the other questions. But when they get asked that question, this is where subconsciously it goes into, ooh, how do I answer this? What am I about? And then it aligns with things like values and their impact and all these other things, because you're asking them something beyond their job title or beyond the service that they bring. It's more
share more than just about their job, and that's what, or you're inviting them to share about it.
So, and the sports question, just to give you an example, how it, again, in England, you've got to be careful because it depends on who your football team is. But from an international perspective, and you know, people don't mind if you support a different team. They don't mind the answer, but they'll have a happy debate with you about what's going on and why their team and things like that. And yesterday, as an example, I've been speaking to an incredible business owner out in Africa who he was actually referred to me about 6 months ago. And he wanted to work with me, but he's got so many other things on the go. And I gave him a call yesterday out of the blue, just touch base. Hey, man, how's it going? What's happening? And we started the sports conversation. And he was like, I'm about to go into this call where we, you know, I don't know if you follow football. And I was like, oh, well, actually, I do, but only because I had no choice when I came to the UK. Everybody asked me, who's your favorite football team? Who do you support? And eventually I cracked and I was like, okay, well, who's winning? And back then it was Arsenal. I mean, that was 20 odd years ago. They haven't won anything in many, many years. But all of a sudden he went, really? He was like, you won't believe. He says, so am I. And we're on different parts of the world. And all of a sudden, now he wants to chat next week about doing business with me with this other project, purely because we ended up going off at a tilt on something else.
Now, right there, just so you know, if you had mentioned Arsenal, I'm in the US, I'm Latino. I should be the biggest soccer fan in the world. I like American football better. Don't hate me for it. My brother was a soccer coach. He never taught me soccer. My other brother loves soccer. I'm the only one that didn't like soccer. But I would watch the World Cup. I love the World Cup. It's great to see it. But when you mentioned Arsenal, so my brother, a huge soccer fan. He loves Barcelona. That's his team. That he'll die on the hill for them. Real Madrid, I would lean towards Real Madrid for me. That's more just to compete against him. But the funny thing is, his best friend, every time they come over, their license plate is Arsenal for the team. And they've loved him 20 years. Like, the story was almost identical. So right there, if I had just met Mac, I would have been like, oh, crap. I don't like soccer. I don't live in the UK. Oh, Arsenal? Oh, my brother's best friend has a car that's a license plate. Isn't that weird? And then on my stories, I kind of fell into it because my brother, but I'm not as passionate. So can you all see how that networking can work on one comment that you learn about them?
And here's the thing, Felipe, you and me both probably couldn't name the starting lineup for Arsenal. No idea. But hey, they have a chance this weekend to come out number one. So I don't know in which league. Don't even ask me. So yeah, my depth of how badly I support is a different level. But
I'm knowledgeable as the World Cup starts. That's when I get, I want to know what's happening. That's
exactly. So we've got loads of people putting in comments over there. We have the stranger. What is his name? This guy on the stage here with us. I think I recognize him from somewhere, but normally he wears a cape. No? Jay, how are you, my man? Introduce yourself. What do you want to say on this wonderful topic? And share some wonderful insights on what's happening in your wonderful life at the moment with regards to a fun fact. Are you on mute? We can't hear you. Or is it just me? Jay, none of us can hear you. No, you might have to go out and come back in again. That wonderful IT glitch. Okay, Jay, we're gonna let you. He's frozen. He's disappeared, but I'm sure he'll be back. Okay, we have people sharing wonderful things in the comments about other things they didn't know about other people in our network. Did you have to bring that up, Gregory? Oh, yeah, he's the one. Yeah, never mind. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole.
So while we're waiting for Jay to come back, one of the things, Melissa Houston, when I first met her on her shows, one of the things she'd always do is she would ask questions that most people can relate to, like, who's your favorite Muppet or Sesame Street character, or who's your favorite superhero? What's your favorite cereal? Most people have an opinion about those kind of topics. So when you bring up those commonalities that are fun, you all of a sudden get really serious about something that isn't that big of a deal. Like, no. Fruity Pebbles is so much better than Captain Crunch. Like, you really don't care that much, but when someone brings it up, you start, defending your choice, and it becomes fun.
I'm unmuted. I'm sitting there looking for the mute button because I make that mistake too often. You see, if I can do this, anybody can. But when it comes to these questions, like you mentioned now about the Muppets and there's always something that will surprise you if you think outside the box, like like the food question as an example, but also when people talk about sport and you sitting there thinking, oh, this is going to go down maybe the football or American football line and I don't really know anything, ask them, well, what type of sport do you like watching that maybe nobody else would assume that you watch? Because I've been introduced to some weird sports by people telling me, oh yeah, on weekends we go to do like lacrosse as an example. And in the back in the day, I didn't have a clue what lacrosse was, and it still confuses me today. But it takes you down a different conversation. And the moment people speak about something that they're comfortable with, something that they're interested about, something that they're passionate about, they let down their guard with regards to the preconceived kind of questions and answers that they have always used when they arrive, whether it's on networking online, whether it's face-to-face, or even in DMs. And it's, people put up subconscious guards because of previous history of how they've experienced things in the past. So as an example, when they see that DM roll in, hey, I'm just growing my network, you've already put up a wall because they know the next question is going to be, hey, we work with founders like you, or they're going to pitch you a product. But if you roll in with, hey, Felipe, I just saw your post about so-and-so and what you mentioned about X was quite interesting. What about, the Mets as an example, because they saw us on Social Saturday or something. All of a sudden, it's a different conversation. And it's oh, that's interesting. Well, nobody normally comes with that approach. It opens a conversation. But if you're looking at putting up walls, and the thing is, we don't realize we do this subconsciously all the time because past behavior normally predicts the future behavior. And this is where being a little bit more, having a bit more fun with what you do and doing 10, 15, 20 seconds worth of research will help you as well. Now, one of the other things about networking, a lot of networking events are, if they're in person, they'll probably send you a list of people that are going to be there. Or if it's online, again, LinkedIn events, you can see who's going to be there in the audience. You can go through that and have a look at who's going to be attending, do a little bit of research. And then all you have to do is show up and connect with those people, have a little conversation, and start building a relationship. And the barriers are removed so quickly.
Okay, so Mac, I'm so happy you mentioned that.
I'm stopping there.
For someone to bring that up, because no one had brought that up of looking them up on LinkedIn. And take it a step further, you're in the room. Guess what most people have at a networking event? A name tag. So you can just don't be creepy about it, y'all. Okay, to have a little bit of tact. But you can go and say, "Oh, James Wright." Okay, James Wright. Oh, okay, that does definitely not look like him. That's not him. Oh, here he is. Oh, he works at so and so. Oh, in his about section. Oh, he lived in Spain for 2 years. Okay, and then do me a favor. Don't be creepy. Go there like, "Hi, James. I just tell you, I was looking at the names. I looked you up on LinkedIn, and I saw that I saw you visited Spain. That's pretty cool." Let them know that you looked it up because you saw the list and you're networking. Don't go up and surprise them that you know a fact about them that they're like, "How did you know about that about me?" Yeah, creepy, y'all. But you have an advantage. Pull it up and look at them. Even if you don't say, at least you know, "Oh, I want to talk to this person. I like their background," or you learn more about them. And that's what one of the biggest things. If you are not utilizing LinkedIn in your search, in your networking, that's the key. What does it say, Mac?
Can anybody read that, or should I just read it out loud?
Pretty closer. Staffing is when two people go for a long romantic. Okay, read it. I can't read it.
Basically, this is somebody sent me this week when you spoke about being creepy.
Yeah.
This came up, and it basically stalking is when two people go for a long romantic walk together, but only one of them knows about it.
That is creepy.
Yeah.
And that is what it comes across when you go into, as Felipe says, and you see somebody's name and you walk over and you go, "Hey, I noticed your daughter goes to this school." That is freaky. Look up on LinkedIn and just start a conversation. And the reason I say this is because for some people, things are logical. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can talk about that. But that is not a natural trait for everybody, because some people are trying to learn about networking and they'll make weird mistakes because they were told by us, as an example, to go and look up something about somebody and do some research and then show up. So we just, that caveat, I just want to put it in there that, don't be creepy, no stalking, but
sometimes just use the information.
Showing interest.
Yeah, have the information in your head and wait for them. You can give them little hints, like, "Well, I love this place, and I gotta say, this reminds me of Spain a little bit because, being Spanish. Oh, you're Spanish? I lived there for a few years. Oh, did you really?" Like, you don't have to be obvious, but you can leave those tips to engage that conversation.
Absolutely. And Jay, you've been so patient. You've gone out, you've come back in, you've gone out. You didn't get your cape though, but you're back. Welcome. Let's test your sound. Can we hear you this time? Don't throw your computer out the window though, because that's what I would normally do if I get frustrated.
Jay, try hitting the microphone and changing the audio to a different microphone. If you hit the little microphone, you have options sometimes for a different mic. That might help you.
Okay.
Right next to the microphone, there should be a little arrow up. No, so can't hear you.
Kirsty says, and this is an interesting one about networking, getting to know people. Smile. Now, people they underestimate this one. Or they overestimate it, and then it becomes what Felipe calls freaky. Because creepy, freaky, creepy, same thing, kind of. But that smile is something that people don't realize how powerful that is. This is something that almost 3 decades ago I was taught, that even when you're on the call with somebody, they can hear that smile. And it's something that makes such a big difference. Whether you're networking in person, networking online, leaving somebody a voice note, it's amazing. But also the subconscious mental health effect that when you smile and you leave somebody a message, you will find that you feel better after that little tiny little action. So don't underestimate the power of the smile. Kirsty, thank you for bringing that up.
50-second word a warm smile makes it less creepy.
She did add, be warm.
Yeah, so a warm smile, not like, hi, how are you? Like, that's creepy, y'all.
And again, it needs to align with your values. If you're
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Mac. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Go, Martha.
We have introverts too, so like, what would you say to an introvert? Like, because sometimes they could, could come off like cheesing like that, so what advice would you share or your input or whatever you want to say?
Felipe, did you want to say something before I go in?
No, my thing is, for the introverts, I think there's not obligation. I think there's an opportunity for other people that are already in a conversation with a group to be that person to invite people. Like, hi, how are you? My name's Felipe. Come on in, join us. That's a huge thing for people to do. Now, what the introverts can do is they can just quietly join a large group, maybe, or not a large group, like 3 or 4 people that are already chatting, and you feel a little less awkward joining a group of 3 or 4 versus just 2 people. That might be a private conversation. So going into a large group and just kind of listening and smiling and waiting, hopefully, for someone to be like, oh, hi, how are you? And you can introduce yourself. Because I think it is difficult for a lot of people, whether they're introverted or it's their first time or they're young. It can be very nerve-wracking. So it's that slow but confident, like, I'm just going to stand up close and, kind of join them. But maybe you're not comfortable speaking up. Wait for someone to introduce themselves, hopefully.
Well, what you just mentioned there, Felipe, there are a few kind of tips on taking that to a level where it makes it less uncomfortable for the person, because what you just mentioned about, the extroverts, helping the introverts by inviting them into the circle, being aware of your surroundings, keeping eye contact with other people. And you can see the introverts tend to kind of hover. They'll be standing on their own in the corner, or they'll walk past the circles hoping somebody will invite them in. And a lot of people don't know this, but online, I'm actually more comfortable than I am in a room with a lot of people. And even though I'm quite outspoken, when it comes to networking, there are tools that I have to put into place to make sure that I survive, because otherwise I will walk in, I will be in the corner, and I'll be looking for an opportunity, and the extroverts will overcrowd the room, and I won't find my opportunity to actually speak. So if I'm invited to speak somewhere, it's a different room. But if I'm arriving as a guest at a networking thing, so here are a few things that you can do that will equip you. So one of the things I found, we spoke about research earlier. So if you're going to an event, LinkedIn is such an incredible tool. Go and look up who's attending, find 2 or 3 people that you can kind of go, okay, I can connect with those people. They'll speak my language, and connect with them beforehand and just message them saying, hey, I saw you going to this networking event. I don't really know anybody else there. Would love to, catch up when we get there. And maybe, if there are other people in the room that you don't get to speak to, that may be beneficial to you, I can introduce them, and vice versa. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a collaboration going into a networking event, and you end up walking out with more opportunities than if you were the one person on your own. The other thing you can do is, when you arrive, introduce yourself to the organizers. Is just walk over and go, hey, so I'm here. I don't know anybody. I'd love you to introduce me to anybody you think would be valuable for me to speak to. Now, the organizers should know who the crowd is and who they've invited. And even if they introduce you to one person, you're now not that nuclear bubble floating around on your own. And all of a sudden, the whole room dynamics change. I can go into a lot of other things, but those are the 2 things that I have found change everything. So Martha, does that help?
Yeah, that absolutely helps. And I was just reading Bill's comment. He mentioned that during networking events, he usually sits in the back. So I just think it's interesting because yes, we're very extroverted online, but when it comes to like in person, I also pick up those introvert traits. So it's very interesting just to tune into this conversation and hear everyone in the chat too, what their shares are as well.
You know, and I want to make sure everyone understands something. Everyone has a level of extrovert and introvert in them. Everyone. Some just have more experience pushing the extrovertness and more comfortable level with it than others. It might be upbringing. You're brought up in a big family with a lot of brothers and sisters. You had to be loud and heard to be do it. Your only child, you might have had a very quiet, very respectful upbringing where you didn't yell and scream like your brother other people did. But I think what I mentioned earlier about being that extrovert that brings people in, that's a networking tip for you. The people that are already feeling comfortable, like, oh, I don't mind going up talking to people, I just don't always know what to say. Okay, great. Well, you have the ability to do something. You don't know what to say, introduce other people. That's your thing that gets you into conversations so that when the topic comes up that is comfortable for you, you can start adding. But that is a huge thing. It not only does it allow you to meet people by bringing them into your circle of conversations, people remember you for being kind, inclusive, for being a leader in a way. So there's a lot of benefits to that networking.
So Gregory has mentioned a really good point here, because as an example, this past week, I've been to 3 different networking events, all of them emailed because I'd registered. They emailed me the list beforehand and I had access to that because you're opting in when you're going to those networking events and you want to be on the list because you want other people to get hold of you if you are bringing value. As an example,
their contact information, maybe they might not give you your email or not phone number, but their name.
Exactly. So as an example, the majority of the list will have so-and-so from this company, and you can go and then look them up. They may not have email and contact number because, again, that may be part of their privacy side of things. But again, if you don't have access to the list, this is where doing a little bit of research on the event and the organizers, because then you use hey, I'm at this event. I hate these things because I've always, I don't like stepping into little circles and cliques and things like that. And I'd love you to introduce me to anybody you think may be relevant. The organizers will know who may be. And also look for the other introverts, because guess what they are doing? Exactly the same thing. Standing like I would at the table over there, looking at the snacks, the coffees, the drinks, looking at ways I can almost protect myself before I step into things so that I don't look like some weirdo just standing in a corner. And I've done this where I've been in an event, the coffee's already gone. I'm still holding on to my empty cup, looking like, okay, so who am I going to pluck up the courage to go and speak to? But it changes everything when you've just got 1 or 2 people, because once you break that cycle at the event by just starting to speak to somebody, all of a sudden that changes everything and it changes the momentum. But you've got to step out of your comfort zone as somebody who is more of an introvert, and pick the battles that you are willing to face. So if it's speaking to the owner or sending them an email beforehand saying, hey, I'm really not great in networking events, I'd love to come, because it's in the host's interest to make it comfortable and opening to everybody. And if you email them saying, hey, I suck at these networking things, love you to introduce me to one of people just so that I can kind of start conversations while I'm there, they want their event to be successful.
So Mac, I was looking at Christy's comment about, she talks to the person sitting in the corner, and I think to your point, networking with introverts, it's networking, okay? And there are plenty of powerful, strong, intelligent, talented people that are introverted more than they are extroverted. And like Mac said, a lot of them might be extroverted online, introverted in person. But one of those things about whenever I'm like tired of talking and like my mouth is dry because we're networking, I get a glass of water and I look for someone that's sitting there by themselves and like you mind if I sit next to you? And that's where we can just chat and just have a casual conversation. And those are the kind of examples I think Mac's sharing is look for those people that are sitting alone, or like Chrissy said, sitting in the corner, and just sit down with them, just be like, oh, sit down for a minute and have a glass of water. Not like, oh, I'm coming at you to talk to you and ask you questions. No, I'm just coming to sit down next to you and, hi, how you doing? And, and chat. And take away the expectations. The curiosity should get you excited. So focus on the curiosity when you're in there, because we all feel it. I walked into a room where I didn't know anybody, and it was nerve-wracking. I didn't feel comfortable. I did 5 laps before I said a word to anybody. I waited for people to say something to me. So we are all subject to this. But here's the last benefit of networking, and I'll hand it back to you. So hopefully Jay can, we can hear him. I was invited to speak at an HR panel because someone who had networked with me 10 years ago and said, oh, crap, I can't make it. First person he thought of was me, reached out to me, would you mind taking my place on this HR panel at the Office of Attorney General? I'm like, sure. Now, he never would have thought of me if I had not networked with him 10 years ago. So you never know when they're going to come back. It's worth your effort. All right, back to you, Matt.
Well, all of these things, can you hear me? Yeah, there we go. Are so important. I love Bill's comment there about did he call me the weirdo in the corner? No, that's typically me. But here's the thing is, invest in the buddy system. So the buddy system is guaranteed. There's never just one introvert at an event. And like Felipe just said, walking over to that person, kind of breaking the ice. What I tend to find that also helps is if I see another introvert in the room and I can spot them a mile away, I would walk over and go, frick, I hate this part of the event. And then they will normally kind of vent and go, yeah, me too. And then we kind of team up, and then, hey, we good to go. Because then I go, hey, so, tell me a little bit about you, so that if I find somebody else in the room, who are you looking at connecting with? Like, why are you here? And then they'll spill the beans. I get to share. And then what Will mentioned earlier about when it's introducing other people, that's his superpower. But when it comes to talking about himself, not necessarily that great. But this is where the buddy system is really good, because now that you've exchanged information, if you're speaking to somebody and they kind of hit those marks of the tick boxes of the person you just met, you go, you should meet Felipe. I've just spoken to him and this is what he does. Now, all of a sudden, somebody else is singing your praises. And then it's just a handover and go, hey, Felipe, come over here. You need to meet Bill. And the conversation changes. So little things like that can be such strong tools. He's also gone and changed his name again. Now it's Jedi and Avenger J. Can we hear you this time? Because we're about out of time, so we need to make sure we can.
How about now?
Matt, before Jay, you reminded me of when you took me to my first networking event.
I didn't get that.
Say that again, Jay.
I couldn't understand what he said.
So Joel, tell us about your first networking event quickly, and what changed between then and now.
My first networking event I remember was with you at now where I live.
No kidding.
I was literally following you around like a little sheep.
Wow.
And what changed? What made it easier, Joel?
I grew up here.
He grew up here. But here was the thing. If you recall, all I did at the event was start introducing you to people because I was your wingman at the event.
Yes.
And then now, by the way, we went to an event in the US. We walked in together. I think that lasted about 3 seconds and he disappeared because he came back and he was like, oh, Mac, you should meet this one. You should meet this one. Oh, this one does this. And I'm like, what happened to Joel? But it takes practice. And he's a great example of how to become a lethal networker. So Jay, tell us, you've been struggling to get your message heard, my friend. Go for it.
Yeah. Can you hear me this time back?
Yes, loud and clear.
Wow. Thank you, Martha. You're a genius. No, but seriously, so the whole purpose of networking is it's not just networking in general. You have to think of it as, you know, getting to know someone, right? But at the same time, you have to think about again, you're talking about aligning values and so like when I go to meet someone, whether it's on LinkedIn or um in person, I like to introduce myself, get to have to let the person know who I am and what kind of, what I do for my work. But at the same time, when I network, I like to also think about the fact that I don't want the other person to look at me and say, "Oh, you can't do this because you have this challenge." I want them to be open-minded. And at the same time, when you're networking, you also have to think about like, will this person uh not align with my own values, which is don't downgrade me because you think that I can't do something. Because if you allow the other person to do that, then that means they're not a very reliable networker, and they're just using you to they're just using you to benefit themselves. When in reality, you want to make the person feel welcome and you want to support them in any way possible, right? And that's really what I believe in when I think of purpose driven networking. I don't like to network with people who are not open minded. Like I don't like to network with people who don't really care about who I am. If you're not going to show that type of empathy or careness for the person who goes through various challenges because of what they have to go through all their life, then you're just not worthy of me. Then you're just all you care about yourself
So, Jay,
instead of caring for others.
I 100% understand where you're coming from. But here's what life experiences has taught me is that all of us come from a different set of experiences. And therefore, that means a lot of us haven't been exposed to what other people have been exposed to in their walk of life. And I used to go by a similar mantra for a long time, whereas like, well, if you don't get me, you're not on the same page, then you're just not the right person. But what I found was that sometimes people haven't had a peek into my world, and therefore they don't understand who I am and what I face and what I'm capable of. And therefore they are judging me based on their life experience. And if I show them a different viewpoint, then all of a sudden it's a different world. So, as an example, I've had the privilege of working in a lot of very high tech companies and organizations. And ironically, this morning I was clearing out some paperwork from like 20 years ago that was in the bottom of the box. And I remember walking into this tech company having not a clue, no clue about the technology that they worked with. And I came in as somebody who was going to manage their team. And I walked in and they all looked at me like I was like, what are you even doing here? You come from a totally different background. You've got no tech background. You don't have an understanding of how our technology works. And it was very uncomfortable. But what I realized, and I had to put into the context was, well, they don't know me. They don't know my past experience and what I've been able to do. If you go onto my LinkedIn and you look at my experience section, man, I've worked in freaking all walks of different companies, emergency services, email security, cyber. I've worked in hospitality. I've worked in loads because of the fact that I don't I make the decision that I know other people don't have a insight into what I am capable of. They will judge me on the first go. And therefore, it is up to me to show them otherwise and educate them. And that is the opportunity that you are faced with, because of the fact that when somebody gives you a hard time or they don't understand, that's a massive opportunity to kind of go, hey, you don't know what you're seeing here. You're just seeing what your past experience allows you to come up with an answer with, as opposed to, hey, let's look behind all of that. What is this guy really all about? And the courage that it takes for somebody with the challenges that you say you're facing to come up here and speak publicly. I mean, that takes some big kahunas. I know how difficult it is to speak publicly and come on here. So never downgrade your worth based on somebody's first impression, because you'll be shocked and surprised. One day they're going to turn around and go, gee, I didn't realize, this guy will go and do public speaking, but somebody else who may be judging you is terrified of public speaking. So it may become an opportunity later where they go, okay, you know what? And I've got some very close friends today because of the fact that they prejudged me, and I stood my ground. I was just me. And eventually they turned around and they were like, wow, okay. You're not going to take all this, you don't understand tech, you don't understand this, you don't understand that. Because they started seeing the value that I brought in other areas, that those weren't my skills. And I don't have to feel bad because those aren't my skills. I can either choose to go and learn those things if they're within my interest, or I can associate with people that have those skills, and I can still do what I'm good at. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
Yeah?
I think one more thing, I'll just say one more thing, is that in this topic of purpose-driven networking, I think the question we should ask ourselves is, or the question we should think about is, what is it that you have to offer? What is it about you that you can offer to me, so that we can network together, right? It's almost like not marketing type of question, but it's kind of like marketing. It's like your branding.
So let me ask you a question about the question you just asked, because we need clarity. So
Right.
if we'd just met and you asked me that question,
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have a clue, because I've never spoken to you before. I don't have any history about you, so I don't know what I can offer you. But
Right.
only by having an open conversation and asking weird and wonderful questions like, what type of food do you like? What kind of music do you like? What is the purpose of you being at this event? Like, what is the outcome that you're looking for? Like, how is this going to help you towards what you're working towards? Then I can make an informed decision. But if I ask that question too soon, I'm blocking that person from really being able to be helpful.
One of the things that I think is always important, if you are talking to a group, maybe you're hosting the networking event, and that's a little bit easier when you're hosting it. You have a little more confidence. But when you're talking to a group and you're worried about connecting with them, I'm going to go back to that C word, curiosity. Okay, like curiosity about them. Have your knowledge about what you have to offer prepared. You know who you are. Okay, you don't need to do a lot of preparation for that. But when you are curious about other people, when I was at this panel yesterday that I talked about, I was talking to a bunch of young adults that were re-entering the workforce, that have been out of the workforce for a while. And they had some real challenges, life experiences. They wanted us to be real. I'll be honest. I'm like, how am I showed up in a suit. No tie, but I showed up in a suit. And I'm like, I'm here with 4 other people speaking. I'm probably the most professionally dressed, and I feel out of place. And how are they going to relate to someone that looks corporate? So I said, what's the one skill that you all are all looking to improve or that you're the most proud of? And they all talked about writing, one's cooking, two said podcasting, one said they want to get into corporate. And I'm like, okay. So when I shared about myself, I made sure that I mentioned things that were relevant. I mentioned that I'm in HR and I've worked corporate. I mentioned that I was in hotels and worked culinary. I mentioned that I had done podcasting, and all of a sudden, those two people that were like the most disinterested peaked up. Like, what? And then I said I did something different. I wrote a children's book. The writers peaked up. I said, by the way, I'm not a cook. I'm not a good writer. And I still did things. You all have more than one skill. And then let's talk about what other skills. And so they started getting excited because I was able to connect with them at a level that they had interests, not what my interests per se. I tied the things that I had an association with. I'm not going to be a culinary chef. That's not my, but I talk about food. So it's about being curious. I can't stress that enough. Be curious about them, and they are going to feel more comfortable talking about it.
Sure, we've covered so much in today's session, and we still have the man with a Lakers background who is going to insert himself into this conversation. His head's bobbing. I'm waiting for the basketball to come out or something. Listen, Gregory, we are well over time, my friend, but I want to give you your opportunity. Say hello. Tell us what your contribution is to this topic, because you've been dropping some serious comments there. Let us know what's happening, and then we'll wrap up and get the co-host to introduce himself.
Laker Nation is struggling right now, down 0-2 on the OKC Thunder, but that's due to bad officiating on the basketball court. So I'll just leave it at there. I will say I totally agree with all the sentiments of Jay. May the fourth be with you. Post del facto, you will post del facto type of thing. Because as a person who is a neurodivergent, which my disability doesn't get the Rhonda Dangerfield treatment, that much respect in its entirety, I have to basically look to see if they know the disability beforehand before I basically engage. Because if they do not, it's going, the whole networking exercise, in my view, falls like a house of cards. And that's why I basically put in the comment section how I look at the networking is I take it in terms of a sports mentality, such as I get to know the feel of the team that I'm playing with. If it's nice and friendly, I'll play. Or in the words of Top Gun, if the enemy is nice and friendly and I could deal with them, then I will basically play in a dogfight type of situation in terms of that type of retrospect. Because people like, I will say, I don't want to speak for Jay, but he can speak for people on his own. People like me and a lot of people who are neurodiverse have that type of, I will say, stigmatization just in regards to the disability in its entirety and stuff, and that's why I will say people like me usually are on the side in regards to corresponding networking events, because I just basically signed up myself for a networking event a week from this Wednesday, May 20th, at a Confusion Corner Bar and Grill on Osborne Street in Concordia and Corridon and stuff, and I'm just basically on pins and needles from this point forward if people will know my disability and all that type of stuff. If they do, swell. If they don't, it's a waste of $24 American Canadian for the networking mixer type of event and stuff. So that's why I will say Jay raises a very impactful point in regards to from a disability and me from a neurodiverse type of related role, because people like us are kept in the back, and they do not want to have our stories told and all that type of stuff, and that's an ableist type of a view in terms of overall social interaction in society as a whole, per se. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the veal.
Well, I just gotta say, I love what you shared there, Greg, and I just want to say, for anyone that goes networking, it used to be quantity over quality. Look how many business cards I collected. No one cares about that anymore. It's about, if you walked out of there with one quality connection that's new, then to me it was worth $24 or success, because that one connection, you never know what it's going to bring you. And don't be afraid to show unique things. One thing that I forgot to mention yesterday, that the kids I didn't connect with, the reason I connected with them was they came up to me like, "Are you handing out business cards?" Like, "Oh no, I'm handing out," and I have one of those dot cards. Have you all seen those dot cards where you just tap it on the phone and your contact information, my YouTube,
QR
LinkedIn.
code?
No, it's not QR. It's actually just it has a chip in it. Yeah, you have the wrist one, exactly. So it touches the phone and automatically it pops onto your phone. You can do it with a QR code on the back as well, but just tapping the phone, the kids thought that was the most coolest thing in the world. They now also have my cell phone number, so, but that's, with the risk, but that's part of networking. If I really want to help them, I want them to be able to make it easy for them to get a hold of me. So that's the last thing is make it easy for people to know where to find you after the event. Even if you do have those physical business cards, make sure you at least give them that if you have nothing else, but find a way to connect right there with them before you leave. Because you always forget, oh crap, what was their last name? Or, oh crap, I can't find them. Or, oh no. Do it while you're still at the event and say, hey, I just sent you a connection request. Or, hey, is this you? Okay, great. Just want to make sure. Because then you have that security.
So there are a few things that come to mind over here, but one of the things that just popped into my head, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I don't know why, but a lot of people end up being the best kept secret at networking events, because not only at networking events, but even here on LinkedIn, because you find somebody, you go, oh my gosh, they can work with me, they can help me, this is the person I want to deal with. And then they've locked their profile down so heavily that there is no, how do I get hold of you? And then LinkedIn, as an example, will say, well, if you don't know their email address, you can't connect. So you're sitting there going, well, there's no contact information. The banner doesn't say how I get hold of them. There's nothing in their about section says what the next step is. And it's like, well, I can see them, but it's like they've built this, wall that there's no way of getting hold of them. So make it easy for people to take that next step and get hold of you. Direct them, tell them how.
Could you use an email sluicing app like Hunter, like Apollo?
Well, then it's too hard.
And Hunter.
Well, here's the thing: is if people are going to those links to try and get hold of you, it's too hard. A lot of people don't have the technical knowledge or understanding or know how to do that. And if that's what it takes to get hold of you, then you're doing it all wrong. You need to make sure that people have an easy way to get hold of you. So if they're not directly connected to you on LinkedIn, as an example, they're a second or third level, leave something on your profile that says, hey, you can go here, go to my website if you're trying to protect your identity and all your contact information, and you just want them to fill in a form that gives you the choice to reach out. That's great. but give them somewhere to go. So important. Gregory, yeah.
And just show everyone, because I love that you have the wristband version of the disc, but this is a dot thing. It's only $29, y'all, and I just want to show you something. This is what I did to people, and they're like, show you, open your phone. I touched it, and I hit this, and poof, all my information just popped up for them right there. It's that.
Okay, so Felipe's home address, if you just rewind a second, was on there. You can go.
No, do not have my home address on there. I was kidding. It is a business card, so think about what you would put on a business card, because that's what you want to have on here. If I started putting my social security number and all that crap, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, don't answer everything. But both when it comes back to Jay and Gregory with your comments about you're walking into a room and people playing by different rules. Don't be afraid to play at your own rules, because this is one of the things that neurodiverse people we're different, and we play by different rules. But one of the things that I found really powerful is when I walk into a room, because I've got ADHD, and a freaking squirrel will take me running out of the room and down a rabbit hole. So I'm going to stay focused. But is having, again, like I mentioned, that buddy system, where get hold of the organizers. So Gregory, the people that have organized that event, just say to them, hey, this is me. Here's a little bit about me. I'm neurodiverse. I've got a different way of communicating with people. And if you don't mind helping make it easy, is there one or two people you can introduce me to when I get there? Because you don't want to be left in limbo. Because otherwise, that event, you'll be sitting, like I have been to events where I just sit in the back corner and I'm like, it's like playing for the Lakers where you're waiting for somebody to pass you the ball, but nobody sees you on the court. And that's where you've got to go in you've got to set yourself up for success. So become the person that all the organizers, and this is where the big difference is. When people walk into a room, a lot of people actually don't know who the organizers are. They haven't done any research, haven't done any homework, or they want to get the organizer's attention. If you've already spoken to them beforehand and you walk into the room and they go, Gregory, everybody else is going to wonder, well, who's this Gregory guy that the host walked over to first? Why don't I know them? Who is he? And then that's where it all changes.
There was a very, very interesting question that just popped up. Flash it. It just came in. That's the question. Thank you. What's the difference between Felipe? Could you take advantage of that one?
That works with any phone, not just iPhone. So contact transfer between iPhones. Some people
doesn't work with all the other phones.
Yeah, it doesn't work with the other phones, and some people don't like that. They have to have it set up to accept transfers, and so it's just like, so when you send like a picture over, it's great, but this actually saves it into their contacts automatically with one click.
Yeah, and it's a proximity. It basically works like a proximity reader, like when you take your card and scan into maybe at work or those kind of things. It's literally just proximity, and it downloads the file, which is a contact CSV file that literally just, they can then choose what they save on their phone. Whereas the iPhone, you're limited to only half the room. Hopefully that helps. Anyway, folks, we are 25 minutes over. Let's wrap up. Felipe, I'm going to go to you, then Martha, then Joel, and then myself.
I made a promise that when I get an idea in my head, it's hard to get it out, and I have to follow through with it. It's a little bit of my OCD. So this is what Mac would look like if he was Charlie Brownish. Got the little beard and everything.
There we go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grow that one hair for the next 3 to 4 weeks so that people can see it. Actually, I have to keep
use a little bit of gel to make it curl.
Oh dear. Anyway,
I hope everyone got some value out of today. Let us know what was your best takeaway for networking in the chat. For those that maybe missed part of the session today, and again, everyone's at their different speed, and networking isn't like it was old school. There isn't a right or wrong way, because we're dealing with people that are much more open about being who they are, whether they are neurodiverse, whether they are an introvert or extrovert, whether they are new and young, whatever it is, everyone's got an insecurity. So realize that you're not the only one. We all have them. And we are all feeling the same way. Some of us have just gotten used to it because we've been forced to do it over and over and over and over again. And that's what it takes, is practice. So practice it. Put yourself out there in small little opportunities, in person and virtual. You got to do both. You got to practice both, because they're different skills. And as far as what I have coming up, Monday, I have Workplace Wellness Hour, where we have a special guest, Farah Demelli, is coming in. She's going to be talking about neurodiversity and leadership, and specifically leaders who are neurodiverse and how they lead, but also neurodiversity in the workplace. If that resonates with you, come join us on Monday at 8 p.m. for the Workplace Wellness Hour. Other than that, I'll be back here next Saturday with this crew for another great Social Saturday chat.
Amazing stuff. Please do yourself a favor and go and follow Felipe. Go and check that out. He runs so many different events with so much value. It's insane. So if you haven't, go do that now. Martha, are you able to share your screen and chat with us?
Yeah. So for me, what I have coming up on Saturday, next Saturday at 2 Pacific Standard Time, I'm hosting an event with Erica on caring. Sorry, I don't have the event up on the screen, but I will share it here, the link. It's going to be a great conversation. She's got a medical background, and please join us if you can. And as far as what my takeaway from today's meeting is, yes, sometimes even us extrovert people, we do have those introvert situations, and how to work through them. I love that buddy system, Mac, that you mentioned. So that's a good takeaway for me. When you're going in person and meeting people, so that awkward energy doesn't come up. But yeah, and then I will be popping in different events throughout this week. So yeah, that's all I can share as of now. But if you want to connect with me, please do here on LinkedIn. Thank you. I'll pass it back over to you. I guess Joel is next.
Joel's next.
I'm next. All right. Okay. This week I'm just looking for the next guest for Fighting for the Right Party. Hello, MacGyver. And I'm also looking for a sponsor for the season, because as we know, things cost a lot of money, and my pockets are empty at the moment. So we can thank March for that one. But I'm looking forward to, apart from that, coming back to speaking to all you lovely people next week. And if anyone does want to get involved with Fighting for the Right Party or at all Rockstar X, then DM me or Mac. Probably me, because Mac sometimes doesn't see them until it's too late. So, Matt, see you all next week.
Amazing stuff. Well, hello. MacGyver, you just missed Copper. Sorry.
I know. Never seen MacGyver. He looks so good. Copper needs a haircut.
Yeah, no, MacGyver needs a haircut badly. So just to wrap up, I don't often talk about programs and things that I'm running. I normally talk about free stuff and all those kind of things. But I've been asked to run a beginners program because there are so many people who are lost when it comes to LinkedIn. And specifically for people that are already experts in their own right. So they're really good at what they do in their business. They might maybe get a lot of referrals, and word of mouth is typically how they do business. But when people are looking them up online, they lose in credibility because they've got no online presence, or their presence is still a career move from 10 years ago that says they do Excel spreadsheets when now they build apps, or, as an example. So we've got a LinkedIn Kickstart program, a beginners program starting on Wednesday next week, which is 5 till 6 p.m. UK time, and it's 6 weeks, same hours every week. But we're only limiting it. I don't want it to be a massive group program that, like a lot of people have, that doesn't really add value. You don't have an opportunity to ask questions. So we've limited it to 10 spaces. We've got 3 spaces left that I'd like to fill with the right people. We've had quite a few people apply. And at the end of the day, my reputation's at stake as well. So I want to make sure we get the right people in there. So if you know of anybody, DM me and I'll send them the details.
I've learned so much from Mac over the last 5-6 years that if I hadn't known him, I would not be where I am today with my LinkedIn journey. So anyone that attends his classes is going to walk out of there so much more prepared to be visible on LinkedIn and have it work for them. And I could not give a stronger endorsement for people. And if you only have 3 seats left, I would sign up as soon as possible, because you will not regret it.
Appreciated. You know where to find me, folks. And next week we will be back right here, Social Saturday chat all over again. Thank you so much for joining us, those incredible people who show up week in, week out to support us. Please, if you are in the audience and you support us week in, week out, you've got an event coming up and you need us to come and show up, or somebody in the community to show up just to be there and support you on your journey, drop it in the comments and let us know. I wish you all an incredible week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all next week, same place, same time.
Adios, everyone.